Marvel spent billions building a pantheon, and still got the most important part wrong. Not the armor, not the powers, not the spectacle, the truth. Because the real Greek gods weren't heroes waiting for the right storyline. They were something else entirely. Unpredictable, unjust, and deeply uncomfortable. And Marvel, in trying to make them relatable, removed the one thing that made them unforgettable: their danger. Let's fix that. Start with Ares. In Marvel, Ares is exactly what you expect: a towering god of war, ruthless, dominant, fear incarnate. But in actual Greek mythology, Ares wasn't respected, he was tolerated. Even the Greeks didn't admire him, because they didn't admire war. They feared it. And Ares reflected that fear. He was impulsive, reckless, emotional. He didn't command battles, he lost them. Athena beat him, not once, twice. A mortal, Diomedes, wounded him in combat. And Ares? He didn't stand his ground. He screamed, so loud it shook the heavens, then ran to Olympus to complain to Zeus. That's the god of war. Not a symbol of strength, a symbol of chaos without control. Marvel gave him dignity. The original myths made him a warning. Now look at Heracles, or Hercules if you prefer the Roman name. Marvel gives you the version you expect: charming, loyal, strong, a hero you can root for. But the real story isn't heroic, it's horrific. Heracles killed his own family, his wife, his children, with his bare hands. Yes, the goddess Hera drove him into madness, but the consequences were real. The bodies didn't disappear when the madness faded. The guilt didn't reset. And the famous 12 labors? They weren't a heroic journey. They were punishment, forced on him by a king who despised him, designed not just to test him, but to break him. Heracles wasn't chasing glory. He was chasing forgiveness for something that could never be undone. That's not a comic relief strongman. That's a man carrying the weight of the unforgivable. Then there's Zeus. Marvel gets closer here. The arrogance, the ego, the theatrics. That part, accurate. But they still hold back. Because Zeus wasn't just flawed, he was absolute. He did whatever he wanted to anyone he wanted, whenever he wanted. Not out of love, not out of passion, out of power. He didn't need reasons, he needed obedience. When Prometheus gave fire to humanity, Zeus didn't just punish him, he made an example of him. Chained him to a rock, sent an eagle to tear apart his liver every day, and every night it grew back, so it could happen again, and again, and again. Not justice, control. Zeus wasn't a king trying his best. He was a force making sure you remembered your place. And then, Hera. Marvel reduces her to a background character, a jealous wife, a royal accessory. But the real Hera might be the most complex figure in all of Greek mythology. She couldn't stop Zeus, couldn't challenge him, couldn't escape him. So her anger went elsewhere, to the women he loved, to the children he created, especially Heracles. She delayed his birth, sent serpents to kill him as an infant, and later drove him into the madness that destroyed his life. Not because she was evil, because she was trapped in a system where the one person hurting her could never be touched. So she reached for what she could touch. That's not just cruelty, that's pain with nowhere to go. Marvel made her invisible. The myths made her human in the worst way possible. And that's the real difference. Marvel thinks Greek mythology is about power. It's not. It's about why the world doesn't make sense, why good people suffer, why justice fails, why the powerful hurt the powerless and never answer for it. The gods weren't ideals, they were explanations. A way of saying, this is the world you live in. Unfair, unpredictable, and completely out of your control. Does that sound familiar? Marvel needed heroes. Greek mythology never promised you one. That's why these stories survived. Not because they're comforting, because they're honest.